Hi, my name is Alex Lang. I'm on the DX Portal Development Team based out of Cary, North Carolina. I'm going to talk to you today about Wickham caching. One of the biggest problems that Wickham content authors typically give us is they've got a piece of content they want immediately visible to their clients. An urgent message, whatever. Wickham caches everything. Caching is extremely important to performance when using Wickham. Typically, Wickham has 15 to 20 Dynacaches, something in that range, and they're all managed by Wickham directly. When you invalidate an item, updated it, edit it, Wickham updates that stuff in the caches with one or two exceptions. The most important being what we call the advanced cache, also known as the processing cache, if you know WebSphere Dynacache names. The advanced cache is strictly time-based. Things live in that cache for as long as you tell it. Wickham will never remove anything in that cache. So if it updates and it's in the advanced cache, you won't see the update until that cache expires. So the new function we've delivered is giving you the ability to invalidate simple items in the cache immediately, or to clear the entire cache, the entire processing cache, on a syndication event, which can be dangerous if you syndicate a lot, because again, this advanced cache is immediately important to the speed with which Wickham renders content items. Now let me show you the cache monitor that I use to monitor what's happening in the Dynacaches. It's the same host name and port that you're used to with the portal, in my case localhost 10,039, with a context root of cache monitor. You have to install this, it's not installed out of the box. And it's going to show you all of the caches. So I see all the instances here, and it just so happens I care about the processing cache. So I'm going to select that one, hit OK, and then I could show cache contents. The last thing I actually looked at was Woodburn Studio, which has a large amount of Wickham content, and so that cache is relatively full. For the purposes of the demo, I'm going to clear the cache and show you individual content items. One thing you'll notice is that when the cache is clear, nothing is in the advanced cache. So when I actually go render something by like displaying it here, and I go back into the cache, you'll notice that the item is in the cache. Now the next time that somebody requests this item, might be myself if I just refresh the page, for example, it will pull from this cache as opposed to go doing a full render through all of Wickham. Next, let's talk about how to actually cause these things to change. Out of the box, there will be no different functionality. To make this function work, you have to set a resource environment provider in WebSphere to make this happen. So I go into my WebSphere console, I select resource environment provider. The one we care about happens to be the Wickham config service, so I click on that, custom properties. And there are two that we care about. One is, the first one I'm going to demo is the Wickham Cache Flush Advanced Cache on Item Update. I'm going to set that to true. I've got another one which is the flush the entire advanced cache on a syndication event, which I've initially set false for the purposes of this demo. Let me describe the topology that we're using for this testing. When you subscribe to something, you're always updating that item in the local JCR. So the act of subscription, which is what happens in a syndication event, also updates items if they previously existed. If they didn't previously exist, obviously it's new and there's no update. So to demo this, I'm actually going to show a main virtual portal, and I'm going to show the cache monitor attached to that main virtual portal. So I'll update an item, and then I'll show you that the cache is cleared. And then likewise, you'll, by inference, since the same thing happens with subscription, it works in a subscription type environment. Let me explain what I mean when I talk about the difference between a simple item and a complex item. A simple item is literally that, is a single Wickham content item. It might have multiple elements like a body and a title or whatever, but it's just one. Whereas a complex one might be something like a menu where I've pointed it at the site area and it cycles through the site area to find all content items in that site area which match a certain set of criteria. Or a presentation template, which might cycle through everything in a site area to find things that are relevant to what you're using. Those are examples of things that will not be affected by this change. Only simple items are affected. Okay, the first thing I want to show is that the advanced cache can be overridden when we update or rename a content item. So here's the content item I'm going to use. It's shipped in Wickham by default. I've created on my main portal a page. It's sitting on the home context root, and I've just called it main virtual portal single item. It's a Wickham rendering port which is showing that same content item I just showed you. If you'll notice right now, it's displaying it just as out of the box. If I go to the cache monitor, I'll go back, I'll clear it, I'll go back here, I'll render it again, and then I'll come back into the cache monitor, and there it is. So now I'm going to go update. So notice that it's in the cache. So I'm going to go update it first. So I'm just going to go edit it. I'm just going to add something trivial like sample content. Now the simple act of saving this should clear the cache. So I've saved it. If I go back and look at the cache monitor, I'm going to go display the cache contents again, and there's nothing in the cache. It cleared it. So now if I render it again, it'll actually go through Wickham and reprocess this item, and I see that it's got my changes in it. I just put sample content. Now, when you syndicate something, it also effectively updates it in the target system. So even if it had been in the advanced cache in the target system, it would have the act of pulling it would have updated it and caused the advanced cache to clear as well. So that is the single item advanced cache clearing. Now let me show you the full cache flush. First, I'm going to show you that I've set the WAS resource environment providers appropriately, and then I'll show how when I do a syndication that it flushes the entire cache. Let me show you that I've set the resource environment provider for Wickham config service so that it'll do a full advanced cache flush on a subscription. Here's the resource environment provider. I've set it to true. Notice I've taken the other one now that I had true before and I've set it to false. The second one is a proper subset of the first one. So while theoretically you could have them both set to true, it makes no sense to do the second one if you've done the first one. And keep in mind again that I've said that if you syndicate items frequently, setting this first one to true is a performance problem, and you really don't want to do that. Now let's observe the effects. So to fill up the cache, I'm going to go to Woodburn. I'm going to refresh that page, which if I now go to the cache monitor and refresh it, it should be full of content, and it is, because Woodburn is very Wickham heavy. And then I'm going to go to the authoring GUI. I'm going to make a small change to my content. So I'll make the change. I'll save it, close it. Then I'm going to come onto the syndicator. I'm on the syndicator side, so I'm going to just force the syndication. Before I do that, actually, though, let me show you that the cache monitor still hasn't cleared. And then I'm going to come back over. I'm going to force the syndication. I just did an update syndicator, which should have cleared that cache now. And so I'll refresh that cache, and it's empty. So let me do a quick summary for you. There are two things we've changed. One is a single simple item clear of the advanced cache. The other is a total clear of the advanced cache. The single item clear you can do as frequently as you want. It doesn't affect performance that much, but it is limited in scope. The full advanced cache clear is global in scope. It will allow things like menus and navigators to pick up all changes immediately. However, its performance impact is great in scope, and you only want to use that variant if you are syndicating infrequently, once, twice a day at max.